Hi guys, Phil Morse here at digitaldjtips.com, and I'm going to show you this. I'll get the name right for you. It's the UDG Ultimate Midi Controller Backpack, and this is a extremely large one. As you can see, this size actually is perfect for a MIDI controller like the DDJ SX from Pioneer, or the XDJ R1 from Pioneer, or the one that I've got in it now. What controller is it going to be? Let's find out and have a look at it. So you can see before we start digging into this thing that it's a really attractive backpack, and the reason for that is that it's been properly squared off with not so many pockets. You know, on a pack this big, you don't want big pockets out of the edges, it's too much. So they've quite wisely kept it to the two front pockets. So you can see that it's, despite being quite a large thing, it's quite neat. One thing I did really like about it is if you say, for instance, you don't want to use the backpack bit, these just tuck away. There's a section here where you can just tuck these two away. So now it becomes a standard with these feet here. You can put it down like this. You can grab this handle here. It's now a standard carrying case. And again, this shoulder strap here just unclips. You can tuck it away. So it's nice that although it's got this one handle here, it's got a shoulder strap here, it's got the backpack bits here. Despite all of that, all of this stuff tucks away if you don't want it, and you can either just use this handle here or use this handle at the top here to move it around. So that's one of the big things I liked about it. You know, you're carrying a lot of gear here, it's quite heavy. You might want different ways of moving it around depending on how far you've got to carry it. You might not want the backpack bit if you're just taking it from the car to the venue, and so that gives you the flexibility without being this huge thing with straps hanging it off it everywhere and so on. So I really like that. Let's place it flat. And I'm going to show you the second thing I like, which is down here. Now, where's the laptop? If you want to get your laptop out from this, normally on a bag you'd have to open the bag. Now with a bag this big, it's not quite so simple, but it is on this one because there's this well-protected compartment here, and your laptop just tucks in here up to 18-inch. My little MacBook Air is a little bit dwarfed in that size, but nonetheless that tucks in and out of there really easily. Now, let's go a bit further into the bag, and in fact, before we open the big compartment, I just want to show you the little ones, because the little ones are quite nice. This compartment here, while it's not particularly well padded, is a great compartment for something like a Control F1 or this kind of size of controller. Alternatively, of course, it could be a good place for your keys and wallet and so on, but it's a perfect size, and I'm sure it's not coincidental for a controller like this. If you put a deck saver or some kind of cover, or wrap it in something just to protect those controls, or just put it so the controls are facing the front if you're feeling bold, that's going to be fine in there. The second pocket down here, this bigger one, is where you have room for your leads in this mesh container here. There's a headphones section there. It'll fit all but the biggest of headphones, and then you've even got some heavily elasticized USB holders there and some various flaps and so on there. Just room for general stuff in there as well. It's all quite nicely branded. It's quite an understated bag, but it's got very subtle UDG branding on it here. Obviously a UDG badge there, and just all around the bag there's little bits and pieces that show you that it is a branded product. So having looked at all that, let's take a dive into the main compartment. This is obviously the most important compartment of the whole bag. This is where you keep your controller. So really jumbo zip, really big jumbo zip here. Clearly it's going to be good enough for the job, and very solid, very hard. It's soft but hard, if you know what I mean. There's give in it, but it's extremely well reinforced padding around all the corners and so on. There's absolutely no feeling that this isn't going to do the job for keeping your controller safe. So let's just get inside. The first thing you notice in here is that I'm going to unhook this just to make it easier for us to see. The first thing you notice in here is that it's got this kind of eggshell extra padding, as if there wasn't enough going on all around here, just to hold the controls all nice and snug without damaging any of them. Even so, some people like to put a deck saver or even wrap their controller in something else in here. I don't think that's particularly necessary, but you might want to. This is a Numark NS6, if you wondered which controller it was I was going to show you being used in here. Expensive bit of kit, you certainly don't want to damage that when moving it around. Now, in here is a set of these pads, various different types, and the idea is that these kind of velcro into place. There's 5 of them in total. I think there's more than that, 7 of them in total, and there's a big flap here inside it. And then you can rearrange these in various ways. There's even a little booklet with it that shows you how to rearrange them to fit all kinds of controllers in it and to keep them nice and snug. And I've tucked a stand under here. You're not really meant to do that, I don't think, but there's this flap here and it seemed to work fine. So I tucked a stand under there as well and everything's snug. So there's really room for all the stuff you need for a big controller like this. I really like this bag. It does the job really well. There's like less than 4 kilos, so it's not adding a lot of weight to your gear. If you're interested in it, go and look at the full review over on digitaldjtips.com.